LakelandCarKeys.com. We got a 2006 Mercedes Benz E350. We do have one working key, but I believe either the infrared on the key is bad or possibly the EIS module is bad. So right now we're going to work on pulling out the EIS module and seeing if we could get the password information out of it to go ahead and program a new key. So unfortunately I couldn't record the process of getting it out. It was a little bit of pain. You're going to want to undo those screws, snap out the gauge cluster surrounding, remove the 4 screws on the gauge clusters, which I believe are T20s, and then there's going to be a bracket that you can see from underneath. It's just silver aluminum bracket. So looking from underneath, you can see where the screw comes in, and it's right up, right down there. So again, you're going to use a 1/4 ratchet with a T20 no extension, and you're going to have to get in there with your finger and feel the head of the bolt and screw it all the way out. And then from underneath, this bracket will go a little bit to one way and angle out. Once you angle it out, you can unscrew the EIS lock ring and pull it out from the bottom. You're gonna come out a little bit to the side, come out and undo the clips. And then we're gonna open it up and attach it to our Xhorse adapters. Alright, now that I got the EIS unit out of the vehicle, I went ahead and disassembled it. There were 2 torque head screws that were on the outer case, and then you just gotta slowly work around the sides where the 2 halves of the case snap apart, and this will be the unit. I have it here in the W112 ST adapter that's attached to the multi-tool adapter, which is, see, it says Key Tool Plus DB15 cable, which goes into the Key Tool Plus. Now, if you're good with soldering, there is another harness that comes with the Key Tool Plus that you can solder directly onto the bottom of the EIS. I understand not everyone has the adapters, but it does make it a little easier when, you could just snap it in there and go ahead. So what we want to do right now is we want to take out the EEPROM and the flash data from this, back them up just in case anything happens, and then after that we can modify the file and inject it into our new key. So what we want to do from the home screen, we want to go into the programmer. So we're going to hit prog, and then we're going to go into emo, and then we're going to select Benz. Alright, so this is listed as EIZ 211, so I'm going to scroll up, and then right there we got the EIZ 211 ST12, and that's the adapter we're using. We're going to go ahead and select that. Now, this is what I was saying. We have the adapter, but weld is actually what they call soldering. So I just want to show you this real quick. If we go into weld and click the image, it will give us a blow up of the bottom of this EIS or EIZ, which one it is. And we can see where all the connections that the adapter is making. So if you were soldering the harness to it, this is the diagram that you would use. Sometimes I just like to look at this diagram and make sure that I have selected the correct EIS unit, because when you're looking at the unit itself, it just tells you 211. It doesn't say it's ST12. There's also an HC12, which the diagram is a little bit different. So just to make sure that you're grabbing the correct unit, always look at the diagram. We're going to just hit OK. back out of this, select ST12 again, go ahead and get the adapter. So basically what we want to do at this point is we want to read it and back up all our files. Once we hit read, we should hear some relays clicking as it's attempting to crack the security. That's how we know that it's actually working. So I'm going to go ahead and hit read. I'm going to read the EEPROM first. Select start. And then continue. Alright, so there it goes. We heard some clicking going in there. So we know all our connections are good. It's going ahead and it's trying to crack through the security. And then once we're done and we get in here, we're going to go back and read the flash and back it up. Now, once we get our file out of this, we do not have to write anything back to this unit. Because what we're going to do is we're going to inject this data inside the key. And then when it's all assembled back in the car and we put the key back into the EIS unit, the key will sync itself with the EIS. Alright, so I'm going to let this do what it's doing. I'll pause and then come back. Alright, so we're all done. It actually failed to read the first time. It went through all 50 attempts. And I just restarted it. And this time it got it about the 16th or 17th attempt that it read. So just because it fails doesn't mean you have a bad connection or something's wrong. Just run it again. That's what I did. I was able to read it. So this is the file it's giving us. It, just creates a file name based off of the EIS and today's date. You could go in there and change it, label it as something else or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save and edit. Okay. And this gives us all our, we get to see it in our data in hex form. Alright, so we're not actually going to change anything. We're just going to go back. Alright, let's see. Not what I want to do, sorry. I want to go back. So we're going to go back. That we just read the EEPROM. Now we're going to go back and read the flash and back it up just in case anything weird happens. If we ever corrupt this EIS, we can, get another one that's the same and inject that flash and then inject the EEPROM into it. And in theory, it's cloned this EIS into that EIS and it should work. So I'm going to go back into read. This time I want to read the flash. We're going to go ahead and hit start, continue, and then it's going to do the same thing. It's going to crack. You can hear it clicking, doing what it needs to do. I'm not sure how many attempts this is going to go through. But I'll pause and then I'll come back once it's done. Alright, so I got that flash file. I backed it up. I saved it. We don't need it for what we're doing. It's just a backup. So this was that other EIS. That one's back assembled. So what we need to do now is we got all the EIS information. We need to prepare a key file so that we'll have the proper information that we can write back to the key. So what we want to do is we want to go into Mobilizer Programming, and then we can select Benz, and then we're going to select from System. Alright, and then down the bottom where it says Prepare Key File, alright, and then Start Programming. Alright, and we're going to prepare a key file. Alright, it says click OK to load the EIS file with password. Alright, so now we got to go back and to see where we saved that EIS file, and it's a little tricky because it doesn't always save it where you think it's going to save it. So these are files that I did back on the 7th. Not what we want. So it had us loaded where we could see the EIS folder. But what we want to do is hit back and go into the pad prog, because we was in the programming. All right, and then 12.9. That's what we did today. And then we are going to do 12.9 and open. All right, so this is our file here. It has the password. All right, so we could just confirm the password. All right, so we're actually using a Xhorse Benz key. So I looked around and there was some, different explanations on which file you use. But the Xhorse people told me to use the VO51. I guess one of them is for like the older style keys, and one of them is for the proximity keys. But I'll just go ahead and select 051. Select OK. Now you do need internet connection. We're connected to Wi-Fi. It's communicating with the server, and depending on how many people are trying to do this particular process, it could go through in 30 seconds. It could take an hour. I don't know how long it's actually going to take, but I'll pause this and I'll cut back in when it goes through. Okay, so that whole process took less than 40 seconds. And it's asking us to select the path where we want to save our key file. So this is the file that we're going to inject into our new key. We're going to select OK. And then, so we're in the local file, MB key file, and then this number here. And then basically, this right here will give us a key listing. And then we can see key 1, 2, and 3 are used. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are available. So we just, go in order, select 4, select 5, or whatever we want to do. So we're going to just save the file for now, but I was getting a little ahead of myself. Save the file. And then I don't know why, but when it does save the file, it saves a file for each and every key slot. So we're gonna go ahead and it's just gonna go through. It's gonna do that process and save 10 actual files in that version 051 file format with the password for each key slot. All right, so the file generation was complete. Okay. All right, so we're done here. We can go ahead and back up. And then, so our next thing we want to do is write a key. All right. So we want to read write key via infrared. So like I was saying earlier, these keys are not transponders. They actually they work off an infrared signal. So we're going to go ahead and read write key via infrared. Start programming. All right. And then we're going to write BE key. Write BE key. And then we want to load the file to be written. So this is the file, this 051V file that we just saved. All right. So let's see, key file. So, all right. And then we just look at what we have here. So our next empty one is going to be key 5. And we can see that date here of of the 9th. That's today. That's what I'm doing. So we'll go ahead and select that, open it, and then on the top of the Key Tool Plus, it has an infrared antenna there. We're going to put the key in, click OK, and let it write the data to the key. Write data was successful. So this key I had already went through the process beforehand. As you see, it doesn't have the Mercedes-Benz signal on it. So this is actually key 4. And then what I did on the video, you can see I have one that I actually put the Mercedes-Benz logo on it. That's key 5. They're both in here. So essentially we can go ahead and click OK. And then all we got to do now is go back to the vehicle, reinstall the EIS, put the keys in. They should unlock it and go and sync themselves and be ready to start the car. So now we're back in the vehicle. I plugged the EIS in. Before I reinstall everything, I just want to go ahead and, make sure that these keys are actually communicating with the EIS. It's a little difficult to do it one-handed, but as soon as I plug the key in, you can hear the electronic steering lock release, and it turns, powers on. We can hear the radio come on. We know this key is properly synced into the EIS. All right, and this is the one that we did on the video with key slot number 5. Same thing, we want to go in, make sure we got communication. There you go, the steering lock unlocks. It actually lets us turn, and everything turns on the car. I can see I got power on the shifter. There goes the radio. So, all right. And then I got the doors open, so it's not gonna, oh, there we go. All right. And these are programmed to the car, so what I can do is just go ahead and reassemble everything, test it up, make sure it starts. We're actually doing some other repairs on this vehicle, so I can't start it at the moment, but these keys are currently programmed to the vehicle. All right, so like I said, we're still doing more repairs on this vehicle, but the infrared key was, the main issue with it. So there we go. We got our remote functions, steering wheel locks and locks, and everything comes on. And then once we finish doing what else we got to do, I'll go ahead and show you it starting up and running.